Hey everybody, I have a new unboxing today. This is the Doogee BL9000. So I don't know why all of a sudden I'm getting all these big battery phones. I have one from Blueboo, I have one from Uniphone, I have one from Doogee, and I also have one from Blackview I haven't touched yet. So it's this like the time of the year for big battery phones, I guess, because it's like almost summer. So these companies are thinking we should pump them out now because summer's when people go camping and go to the beach, I guess. So anyway, this phone supposedly has a 9,000 milliamp hour battery. I say supposedly because it's Doogee, you know. They've been known to slightly mislead customers in the past. But you know what, even with I say that and it sounds really bad, but at the same time I do think the phones are pretty well built. And if you can get over the fact that the advertising is a little bit false advertising, I think the phones are still a pretty good deal because you sell them for such a cheap price. So anyway, I'll put the phone to the side first and let's get to the rest of the unboxing. So as usual, when you get a Doogee phone, you get a USB stick too, so that's pretty cool, like a nice little touch. Then you have a dongle for headphone jack, because this phone doesn't have a headphone jack obviously. Doogee was one of the first brands to jump on that bandwagon. You have, this is a USB-C cable. And a power outlet, SIM ejector tool, another one of these data transfer cables. So let's get to this. There should be a case in here, I feel like. Yep, you do get a case. It's a plastic case. Instructions manual. I guess this is warranty card. And a soft screen protector with a microfiber cloth. So you get a lot of things from your Doogee package. Now let's get to the phone. Wow, nice. I quite like this. I'm not sure if this is real leather, probably fake leather, but this back looks very nice. So I like the little pattern on the side. You have a SIM tray right here. Power button, volume rocker. Yeah, I like these patterns a lot. This phone feels good. Fingerprint reader, dual cameras. Well, we'll see if it's real dual cameras or not. So I'm gonna set it up. I'll be back. Hey guys, so I've been using the Doogee BL9000 for about 5 days now, and these are my impressions. So you guys know that Doogee, you know, in the past they haven't been exactly entirely honest. They've made some false claims when advertising its phones. Like for example, sometimes they would advertise smaller bezels or larger battery sizes. So with this phone I was a little bit skeptical. But as I tested the Doogee BL9000 over 5-6 days, I began thinking, has Doogee changed its ways? Because this phone is pretty legit. Well, not totally, but I do see a bit of improvement. For example, while the Doogee BL9000 still has a fake secondary camera, yeah, I actually put a piece of tape over that second lens and it didn't really affect the bokeh effect of photos at all. So anyway, the second camera is still fake, but then Doogee's not actually promoting that second camera. If you go on Doogee's website, most of the promotional copy only talks about the main sensor, a 12 megapixel Sony IMX486 lens. If you scroll further down, you'll see that it does mention the second camera, but not so much. So in a sense, you can't accuse Doogee of false advertising when they're not really advertising the second camera. So now the second thing, the advertised 9,000 milliamp hour battery size. So I ran some battery tests in a previous video, and you saw that The Doogee BL9000 actually scored a very respectable 23 hours and 47 minutes on PC Mark's Work 2.0 battery test. That's the test that pushed the phone heavily from 80% to 20%, and it lasted 23, almost 24 hours, which is a pretty good score and a really respectable number. So unless I really break open the phone and examine the battery, I can't really tell if Doogee really put a 9000 mAh battery inside this phone, but I can say it's close enough that I'm not going to stress over it, considering that this phone's not expensive. And in real world usage, standby drain has been very good. Like, I'm gonna go into settings right now. You see that I haven't charged the phone in 2 days and 16 hours, and I've used about 4 hours of screen on time. Heavy use, and there's still 71% battery life left. Let's talk about the rest of the hardware. So I really like the build quality and feel of this phone. There's this fake leather back that, even though it's fake leather, I know it's fake because I tried to scratch over a key and it really didn't take any damage. If it's real leather, it would actually be scratched pretty easily. So I know it's not real leather, but it still feels good in the hand. It adds this grippy, warm texture to the phone. The steel railings feel really sturdy too, and then I really like this phone's heft. It's big and heavy, but in like a manly way. Like, this is a phone that, I don't know, it's bulky in a good way. So the 6-inch display, it's a 1080p LCD panel from LG, and while overall brightness is lacking, it pumps out pretty rich colors and crisp text. Like, looking at the screen, go on Instagram stories, it looks good. I don't have any complaints at all. But the single fine speaker, it's very, very weak. And there's no headphone jack, so you are using this to watch movies, you'll have to use a dongle or use your Bluetooth earpiece or headphones. Powering everything, it's a Helio P23 with 6 gigs of RAM. Device info backs all these numbers up, and the benchmarks kind of show that it is probably likely a Helio P23 too. And then from my use, the phone handled all the daily tasks just fine. If you go in on like Facebook and Instagram, you can have no problem at all. When I play a graphic intensive game like Tekken, I noticed that it would run smoothly 80% of the time, but there would be a little bit of lag here and there, a little bit of stutter in the frame rates, but not a big deal, definitely playable. But overall, if you're using this phone just to go on Facebook, you can have zero issues. So now in terms of software, the Doogee BL9000 runs a stock version of Android 8.1, and it is almost completely clean. There isn't even a photo album app in this phone. You have to use Google Photos. So there's not a lot of pre-installed app. Everything looks very clean. It's stock Android. This means you can expect all the Google touches, such as the rounded icons, a power down menu that is now on the side of the screen instead of in the middle. And then when you scroll up the app tray, I like the little animations, like how the way the app tray bounces when it reaches the end. I dig it. The Doogee BL9000 also has facial recognition for face unlock, works pretty decently, and wireless charging. So now moving on to the camera. As mentioned, the second lens is fake, so you can forget about taking real bokeh shots. But if you ignore that, the rest of the photos look pretty good, especially in daylight. So I'm gonna pop up some photo samples right now, and you see that in general the shots are very clean. Colors are very punchy, but a little bit overly warm, to be honest. And the selfie camera is not bad too, as you can see from these samples here. So now this phone struggles a bit in low light, which it shouldn't surprise you. This is obviously a kind of entry level phone. And then dynamic range is pretty poor too if you're shooting in an area with a little bit of shade. And then now moving on to video. Again, video in the day, I find that the camera focuses pretty fast and very respectable level of details. It's obviously no image stabilization at all, so it's quite jerky when you walk. But if you keep the phone still, this is a really respectable camera for this price range. So now about pricing. Doogee says this phone will sell for $270 US in its final form, like Frieza. But right now, you can get a pre-sale for $210 US, and I think at that price, $210, it's a pretty good deal. This screen looks pretty good, and the phone feels good in the hand. And the battery life, while I can't vouch for if it's legit 9000 milliamp hour, it does give you like 20 something hours of screen on time. That means you will be able to use it for at least 2-3 days. So again, who is this phone for? If you're someone who goes camping a lot, it might be good for you. Or you know, this phone would be good for like an old person like my mom. My mom's always forgetting to charge her phone, and she's always like dropping her phone and stuff. So to be honest, when I buy her an iPhone, it kind of stings for me because I don't want to spend that much money on a nice phone that she doesn't even know how to use. She doesn't take advantage of the power, and she like always forgets to charge her phone. So I would get her something like this, and then that way you forget to charge your phone, mom, it's okay, it will last you like 3 days. You drop and break the phone, mom, it's okay, it's only $210 instead of $800. So I think Doogee in the past have been a little bit dishonest, but this time I can forgive them for the fake second camera thing. I think this is a pretty good phone. A lot better than the previous Doogee phone I tested, which was kind of trash to be honest. So that's it. I'm gonna be back with a new phone from Vivo in about a week, and then probably the OnePlus 6 soon. Thanks for watching.